Hi folks, and welcome back to Baz Bites. This is part 2 of our Intersight series, and today we'll be taking a deep dive look into server inventory. The server inventory page within Intersight provides a great deal of information around C-Series standalone servers, UCS managed servers, whether they're C-Series or B-Series, and of course, Hyperflex systems. So let's go ahead and poke around my lab a little bit, and I'll show you some of the drill down pages. Let's first take a look at a Hyperflex system. In this case, I'll be looking at an all-flash HX240 node, M5 obviously, and we'll go ahead and pop into here and take a look at the General tab. So first and foremost, you're going to see this rendering of the appliance itself, and you're going to have a nice rendering of the health overlay associated with each of the devices installed in that server. So we've got the front view here, I've got the rear view, and of course a top view, which can be especially handy for field technicians that need to maybe replace a fan or a failed DIMM. Things that don't have locator LEDs, those can be really handy to reference in here so you know you're replacing the right component at the right time. This is especially nice because you can pop Intersight open on maybe a tablet or even use the Intersight mobile app on an Android or iOS device and take a look at this information in the field. So really quite handy. In addition to the device rendering, you'll be able to see some high-level information, including contract status, the UCS domain if the device is connected to a pair of fabric interconnects, and some other basic hardware information, along with alarm info and security advisories if there are any applicable to your device. In the Inventory tab page, as you'd expect, you get a rundown of the stuff that's running under the hood. So you've got your CPUs, all your memory. In the case of network adapters, you can get some really cool information. In this case, I've got a Cisco VIC, a virtual interface card installed. And with a VIC, you can take a look at some pretty low-level info. You can even see the virtual NICs that you have instantiated on this card. So in this case, I've got an ESXi host, and I see all 8 of my vNICs that I need to make this thing run smoothly. So really cool info all in one place within the server page of Intersight. Lastly here, for a UCS managed node or a UCS-M managed node, we have the hardware compatibility list. Now this is going to be available for any node, whether or not it's UCS managed, but there will be additional tabs for other servers that aren't managed under a Fabric Interconnect domain. So coming back to this, the hardware compatibility list provides you a perspective of the hardware that's installed on the server, the software or OS that's running on the server, and the adapters along with their firmware. So this is really awesome because it will validate that the hardware, the operating system, and the adapters are qualified in terms of Cisco compliance. So we know that this particular set of hardware along with this operating system, that being ESXi 6.703, or U3 I should say, are qualified to run with these versions of firmware against these particular adapters. You can use this proactively as well to take a look at what your system might look like should you choose to move to something like Microsoft Hyper-V or potentially bare metal node running Ubuntu. So really handy. For UCS-M managed nodes, you have a couple of options here. You can launch KVM, potentially even launch a new feature, the tunneled KVM, which can allow you to access the KVM without having to be on the same network, or you can pop right over to UCS Manager itself. So handy detail, but let's take a look what a server looks like if you do not have it managed by a pair of Fabric interconnects. What would be called a running in standalone mode. So here's an example, a little bit of an older server, but it's still quite capable, a C220M4, and what you'll find is much of the same detail. You're going to have that health overlay, the server rendering, inventory page, but now you'll notice a couple of new options. We have the server profile page, which gives me the ability to apply server policies and profiles specific to this node. So I'll be going over this in a bit more detail in subsequent videos. Suffice it to say, you can both apply policies from within Intersight that you create in Intersight, and you can also pull in policies that were already created on the server via SIMC and have those created as Intersight server policies that you can then use elsewhere. So really quite handy. For standalone nodes as well, you'll find that you have additional information or additional actions under this dropdown in terms of server power control. You can upgrade the firmware of standalone nodes. You can install operating systems. Again, you can do the KVM, the VKVM, and launch the Cisco IMC as well. But a really nice feature that we have here is the ability to open attack case with a single click. So a lot of cool capabilities. The last thing I'll point out before we wrap today is that currently you can manage C-Series nodes from M4 onwards, so M4 and M5 as in terms of what we have today. But with B-Series nodes, you can manage a little bit further back. Obviously, the capability is going to be a touch limited in this platform, but you can take a look at information around like B200 M3 servers that you have in your system if they're connected into a UCS manager domain. So in this case, I've got a bunch of those, and I'll just show you real quick that you can still get information about even older platforms within UCS Manager, including that top view perspective if you have DIMMs failed, inventory information, and the hardware compatibility list. So really cool information here. Again, all of this contained within the server inventory page, and these are the drill down pages that we have for each of the nodes managed within your Intersight domain. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of our Intersight series here on BazBytes. Next time, we'll be taking a deeper dive look into server policies and profiles, so don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, see ya.